Hey there guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mike18 here with another TV episode review. And no guys, I'm not going to be reviewing the finale of The Walking Dead, the season finale of The Walking Dead. I know it is Sunday, March 29th, and the finale airs tonight. And no, I have not seen it early. Actually guys, what I'm going to be doing in this video, I'm going to be reviewing last week's episode of The Walking Dead season 5, I almost said season 3, season 5, episode 15, Try. And yeah, I didn't get a chance to review it last weekend when it aired. I didn't get to even watch it when it aired. I was on a shoot last weekend, as you guys know, a film shoot, and I didn't get home until 12:30 and or so, and I missed the rerun. So I actually watched the episode on my computer at 2 in the morning on Monday early morning. And I didn't get to review it either on Monday or all week because I was really busy with various things. So I was contemplating just skipping reviewing it because it's over a week. It's a week old now, and honestly, there's really no point. But I felt, you know what, the finale's tonight, and it'll just bother me if I don't have every episode reviewed. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm just going to do a quick little synopsis of the episode. I'm going to, touch upon every story point. But this review shouldn't be too long. I'm just going to really get into what I liked and didn't like about the episode. And I also think I'm going to leave a couple of predictions for the finale tonight. Because, yeah, the finale looks like it could be really good. And if it's not really good, then I think I'm going to be upset. So, yes, I'm gonna film this review now, and I'm posting it right as soon as I finish shooting it. And then tonight I will watch the finale, which is 90 minutes, by the way, which is pretty cool. And I will be reviewing it after it ends, as soon as it ends. So, yeah, so stay tuned for that. That's gonna be pretty interesting to watch the finale tonight. And then no more Walking Dead until October. It's gonna be a long wait, but it's alright. We got other shows that we have on that are cool, like Bates Motel and Better Call Saul, which I am very behind. I need to catch up on those, and sorry I haven't posted reviews for them, guys. It's just, I've been too busy. But I do want to keep doing Walking Dead reviews because I started, I want to finish. So now, Season 5, Episode 15 is Try. And I think Try had some pretty big shoes to fill. Because last week's, 2 weeks ago, episode 14, Spend, was actually pretty damn good. One of the better episodes of the second half of the season. One of the better episodes of the season. Actually, that was a big episode. By the way, guys, in case you haven't known, spoilers up until this episode. All of it, spoilers. Okay, of basically the whole season, pretty much as well. So obviously, don't watch if you haven't seen any of the season. But yeah, that episode was great with several shocking things that happened. Namely, they killed off 2 characters, Aiden and Noah. And then the end, the betrayal of Father Gabriel. And then the shocking task that Carol has for Rick to kill Pete. Obviously, so all those events are going to be carried into episode 15, Try. And I just got to say this much right off the bat. I love how this episode started. They didn't have any dialogue, and they had like some sort of rock music or something playing, and it's basically it shows the residents of Alexandria, I'm guessing a couple hours or maybe a day after what went down in episode 14. So Aiden is dead, so Deanna and her husband and Aiden's brother, are Aiden and Nicholas brothers, are they? I don't know, I forget. But yeah, it shows them, they're sort of mourning Aiden's death. Rick is like contemplating what to do because of the assignment Carol has given him, or the plea, or what she wants him to do for her, basically, which is to kill Pete, because they found out that Pete has been abusing Jessie, his own wife. And Rick's got to get to the bottom of that. And Carol simultaneously is making a casserole dish for Deanna. She drops it off on Deanna's porch, and with a note. It basically says, "I'm really sorry for your loss," or whatever. And I think Deanna just, she crumpled a note leaves the casserole. I forget. Yeah, it's been a week, almost a whole week, guys, since I've watched this episode, and I'm going off. I didn't even take notes as I watched it. I just watched it at 2 in the morning, started falling asleep, but stood awake through all of it, and now I have to give you my thoughts on it. But yeah, and then right after that, we see Deanna interviewing separately, but they're intercut together. She interviews Nicholas about what happened with the supply run to get the solar panels. You know, the one that killed Noah and Aiden, that got Noah and Aiden killed, and Tara seriously injured. And so we see Nicholas being interviewed, and Glenn, that's intercut with Glenn talking to Rick about what happened. And Nicholas is the whole time lying to Deanna, lying right through his teeth, telling her, "Oh yeah, they were the one. It was their fault. They got us killed. It was their fault. Aiden got killed." You know, he goes into all these things, but he's obviously lying, and Deanna doesn't know the truth, and no one's gonna know the truth. There's now two sides to the story. Glenn has the side, and that's obviously the right side. Nicholas was the reason why Noah died. Nicholas ran out the door of that revolving door, and it simultaneously got Noah killed. And Nicholas lies about the whole thing, and I did not see that coming. So as soon as he starts talking in the beginning of that like confessional thing, my mouth dropped. I was like, "Whoa, he lied!" I honestly didn't think he was going to do it. And then I love how it's intercut with Glenn telling the truth. I just love that. And he's telling Rick all of this, and Rick obviously is not happy about this, but he's got to juggle with that. But at the same time, he's got to deal with this thing with Pete. So, like, Rick's at, like, not the best of places right now because he's got a lot of crap he's got to juggle. So that's the whole beginning of the episode. And I just wanted to tell you about the beginning because I thought it was really, really solid and strong. And it really stuck out to me, which is why I really liked it. Now I'm going to get into each individual other character arc that happens in the episode because there's several other character storylines going on. I'll get back to what goes on with Rick and Carol and Pete and Jesse, and then Glenn and Nicholas later. But basically throughout the rest of the episode focuses on Sasha, who has just gone off the deep end, Michonne, and what's her fit, Rosita, Rosita's just eye candy at this point. They realize that Sasha hasn't been sleeping or has been out all night or something. She's been like in the watchtower all night, and then they can't find her the next morning. They realize something's off with Sasha, so they go to hunt her down. And they go into the woods, they go outside the walls of Alexandria, and they're just not used to it at all. They've been behind the walls of Alexandria for probably like a couple weeks now, 2 weeks maybe less than that, a couple days. And they're just like, this just doesn't feel right. I think Michonne at one point even said she feels like she's asleep because they're just, it's just like such a huge transition to go from inside the walls to just boom, right smack outside the walls again. You know, it feels really different for them, and I could see how that's a difficult struggle for Michonne to, and that's why she says that line. Anyway, they see a bunch of walkers dead, and they see bullet holes in their heads, so they're like, "Oh, Sasha's going on a killing spree." They find Sasha, and I don't know what's going on with her, but I honestly don't. I never was truly a huge fan of Sasha, honestly. From when she joined the show, I don't know what it was. Honestly, though, of her, Tyrese, I had wanted them to kill off Sasha over Tyrese when they killed off Tyrese a couple episodes back, because I'm just not a fan of her. But I don't know, she's like flipped out, and I think what's really bothering her, and she mentions it in the episode, is not only Tyrese's death, which has been bothering her for episodes now, but what is like the root of what's really bothering her. It's a new thing that's bothering her. It's the fact that Noah died, because if you remember in episode 10 when they were on the road, she, I think, was just so upset at Noah because of Tyrese's death. Because of that, she told Noah in that episode, "You have no chances of surviving." And now Noah's dead, so that makes her feel bad. But yeah, that's what happens with Sasha in the episode. I really don't even know what's going on with her. I don't think things are going to end well for her, honestly. Of all the characters that could get capped tonight, or could die tonight in the finale, Sasha is definitely a possibility. Then we focus on Carl and that girl. What the hell is her name? Eden, I think. I don't know. He's chasing her again in the woods or something. Then they both go out in the woods. I don't even remember. What's her name? Eden, Enid. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So yeah, I think he follows her into the woods in this episode somewhere in there. And they come across a couple walkers. I think they killed. I don't remember if they killed any. I'm not sure. But basically, the whole scene, I'm like, the two of them are gonna get close, and I'm like, don't have them kiss. I was like, they're gonna have Carl get his first kiss, and that honestly, that's fine. I mean, it's nice to see something like that happen in this apocalypse. You know, like Carl getting his first. Like, what are the odds you'd get your first kiss during a zombie apocalypse? If you haven't had it before the apocalypse, chances are you're not gonna get it at all. So it's cool that Carl met someone close to his own age. But they end up not kissing. They go into this tree trunk and they like hide and they're like very close. And I think Carl touches her hand at one point to hide from a bunch of walkers. And I was like, oh god. And then she says something to him. I don't remember what it was though. I don't know. It's not hugely important though. But yeah, that was another thing. And then another interesting thing that happened. Another quick little storyline. I think there was only one scene of them. But Daryl and Aaron are, you know, they're the recruiters. They're They're in the middle of a recruiting mission, and they're somewhere in the woods. I remember starting to fall asleep around this point of the episode, but I woke up and rewound it back to this part of the episode. But they find a woman tied to a tree, dead woman tied to a tree with a W carved in her head. And they're like, what the hell is this? And I think Aaron examined the body and said this was recently done, which means it wasn't a walker who, I don't know who did this, but some group of people who've been carving, or even maybe it's one person. At first I thought it was Morgan when I first saw the mark on a zombie's head a couple episodes back, but I thought it was an M. It was a W. So I don't think it's Morgan. But yeah, whoever did it tied a walker to a tree, or a woman to a tree that they maybe was in their group, I don't know, and left them there tied to the tree. I guess killed her maybe, or did something, I don't know. And she turned, obviously, after I guess being stuck on the tree for maybe starvation, I don't know. And that's why the W is carved into her head. So now this is starting to creep out Aaron and Daryl. And we see the same zombie at the end, or we see another walker with a W carved into the head at the end of the episode, when Sasha is in the watchtower picking off a couple of walkers who are coming close to, they're like trying to get into Alexandria. They're like, you know, like scraping up against the walls. They're obviously not going to get in because, you know, they're pretty big walls. But and she shoots this walker in the head, and the walker, but the camera's on this walker and we see the W. Then it gets shot, and then it racks focus to Sasha in the watchtower. So obviously this means that some group is out there carving these W's into these walkers' heads, and maybe they're getting closer to Alexandria, which is not good. And maybe they're going to go head-to-head with Rick and the gang tonight. I don't know yet, but that's going to be pretty interesting to find out what's going to happen one way or another. So that was Daryl and Aaron. I talked about Sasha already. She's gone off the deep end. Carl and Enid, or whatever the hell her name is. I guess I'll get back to, and Glenn and Nicholas. Obviously Glenn is very, very wary of Nicholas and can't trust him anymore. I think has a talk with him by Nicholas's van that he's like cleaning out because of their bloody supply run to get the solar panels. Glenn basically tells Nicholas, I think he threatens him to not go outside the walls anymore. And I don't remember too much of that storyline. I know it just wasn't as important. I just know that at some point in the finale, Glenn and Nicholas are button heads. I mean, like, it's getting closer and closer to the point where they're just going to go off on each other because the tension between them is slowly building. I think Glenn's really pissed that nobody knows that Nicholas was at fault for Noah's death, or he's been telling people, but there's two sides to the story now. It's basically comes down to who they're going to believe, Glenn or Nicholas. So I'm really interested to see Glenn and Nicholas show down tonight during the finale. And I think other than that, I think that's about it. Now, getting into the main one, or honestly, there wasn't really a main storyline when you look at it, because Rick's storyline with him contemplating what to do with Pete and Carol, who was also intertwined in that storyline. I mean, that was important in last week's episode, in this episode. But, I mean, it wasn't the focus, you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't, like, it, like, had the same amount, that storyline had the same amount of screen time as, say, Sasha's storyline, for example. Like, there was about 3 or 4 scenes for each. So, I mean, that's what I mean by that. There wasn't a focus. It was just individual storylines tonight. But obviously Rick's storyline was one of the most interesting ones because of how it ends in what my opinion is one of the best scenes of the season. And I can't wait to get into it. But basically, backing track earlier in the episode, Glenn had told Rick what really happened. Rick's obviously dissatisfied. And he's like, he's basically like, I'm almost done with Alexandria, okay? They don't know how to defend themselves. They're not going to last long out here. I mean, and remember what Rick told Carol and Daryl. Only the 2 of them. We may have to take this place from them if time comes. And Rick may want to do that tonight in the season finale because he doesn't think that they're strong enough. He doesn't think that they can deal with this world. And I mean, it's like 2 separate worlds. They've been living in this community for so long. They don't know how bad it is. That's why they keep losing people. People keep dying on their watch, and Rick's not going to have that. So earlier in the beginning of the episode, Carol tells Rick, she's like, Rick, come on, you got to kill Pete now. And then they bring up Ed, and I love how Carol is relating to this thing that's going on with Jesse and Pete because of her abuse story with Ed. You know, I like how Carol stood around long enough to get to this point because she connects so strongly with this. I think part of it is just Carol's always just thirsty for blood. She always has a bloodlust, and whenever she feels a person needs to die, she will want that person to freaking die. And even though Pete is beating Jesse, she's like, no, he's got to go. But part of it is, yeah, she has a bloodlust. The other part of it is she's been down that road before. She can connect with it. She even tells Rick, I would not be here if the Walkers didn't get Ed back in season 1. And Rick's like, you would have anyway. But who knows? Would Carol? That's a good question. Would Carol be here had the Walkers not killed Ed? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, maybe she'd still be alive. I don't know. I don't think she would have made it as far. I think she would have died somewhere around season 3. There are several moments where she had to survive on her own, especially in season 4. And I don't think she would have made it. I don't. Carol's confident she was, though. But anyway. So Rick goes to see... Oh, there's a great scene I forgot to mention. Rick goes to see... goes outside and is just looking out into this lake. And Pete comes behind him. He's like, hey, Rick, how you doing? Are you okay? And Rick just turns around. He's got his hand on his gun, which is in his belt. And he just turns around and he's just like, walk away. And you can tell that the tension is just brewing between them. So, Rick goes to talk to Deanna. And this was an important, really interesting point of the episode. And it really just nails politics very well. And how a government structure works, even in an apocalypse. He tells Deanna, listen, we got a problem with Pete. I gotta get rid of him. He needs to die. Okay, he's beaten his wife Jessie. He maybe beaten his kids. I can't have that. We can't do it. So Deanna's like, no, I know about that, but yeah, he's sort of like the doctor who lives here. He ain't gonna die. And Rick's, obviously Deanna's playing favorites here. She knows this has been going on. She's like, oh, I think I always thought it would stop. It wouldn't be as bad, you know, it would always get, you know, wouldn't get as worse. But Rick's like, no, it's gotten bad, and he's obviously not happy with her because she's keeping him around and not exiling Pete like she should because he's saving people. And I know that's a very important part of the Alexandria community. But honestly, when he's beating his wife, for God's sakes, it's getting worse. I mean, exile the guy, okay? Or just make them live separately. But, and I think Rick brings that up to her, but she's like, how am I going to pull it off? What if he doesn't want it? What if he doesn't agree? And then Rick's like, we kill him. And she's like, no, we will not kill people. We have a community going on here. We have civilization. We can't kill him, and we're not going to. But Rick is just like, no. He's like, we have to take out a threat, and Pete is a threat to his own wife. And part of it is Rick listening to Carol and Rick having feelings for Jesse and not wanting to have to see her go through that. And then I guess another part of it is he's just like, no, this guy's a miserable son of a bitch. He's got to go. So I really like what's going on there, and I'm really interested to see are Deanna's true colors going to be revealed. I mean, she's favoring a guy who beats his own wife just because he does stuff for the town. I mean, somebody else could, Eugene could be their medical guy. Okay, Eugene's smart. Get rid of Pete. I mean, that's what she should do. But we have to wait and see, guys. So basically, Rick goes over to Jesse's later on, and we really don't see Rick's storyline towards the end of till the end of the episode. And he basically tells her that we gotta take care of Pete. You know, this is a problem. We don't want you to live together. You know, and Jesse's just like, no, just drop it. It's all right. You know, she's upset, and then they deliver this interesting line. Rick says something like, if he keeps beating on you, you may end up dying. He doesn't want that to happen. And Jesse's like, why are you so protective of me? Would you do this for anyone else? And Rick's like, no. So I'm like, oh, yeah. They're connecting. He likes her. They're gonna get together if he kills Pete. So, yeah, Rick, you know, they have that little moment, and then Pete comes into the house, and then all hell breaks loose. He's obviously upset, and then Jesse starts to confront Pete, and she's like, I don't want you here anymore. And then he's like, excuse me? I've watched the scene like 1 billion times, guys. It's on YouTube, by the way. So Rick's like, come on, Pete, just two of you. We're going to leave. We're going to talk things over. We're going to get out of this house, and Pete's not having it. So the two of them start the brawl. They're beating each other in Jesse's house. They come crashing through a window, through one window, and onto the Alexandria streets. They're duking it out in the streets, and it seemed like at one moment Pete was getting the upper hand until Jesse comes to like break it up, and Pete like punches her with his arm, or like just swings her away and hurts her, and she falls to the ground, and Rick's like, fuck this. So Rick flips over with him, has him on the ground, is choking Pete out, and Carl comes over to stop Rick, having come back from the woods with Enid, or whatever the hell her name is. I don't know, Eden, whatever, Enid. and he throws Carl off, and that was my mouth dropped at that. And then Rick then has Pete in like a chokehold. He's choking him out. Blood is dripping down from his face, Pete's face. It's getting hairy. Deanna comes in at just the right time and yells at Rick to stop. And then he's like, if you touch her one more time, he tells this to Pete, if you touch her one more time, I'm going to kill you. And Deanna's like, damn it, Rick. And then he gets up and pulls out his gun and starts waving at them. My jaw dropped. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I was like that. I was like, no, he's going to shoot someone. And he's waving it around, and he goes into this whole speech about how they're not fit to survive, and they're not strong enough, and it's only going to get more and more people killed. And I love Rick's speech. He's doing it the whole time. He's half crazy, but he's half sane at the same time. Rick knows what he's saying, and Rick is absolutely 100% right. Part of me feels Deanna may know he's right. Maybe she feels, yeah, he's pretty right. We don't know the shit we know. But at the same time, she's looking at Rick. He's got blood going down his face. He's waving a gun at all of them, and she's like, we can't keep him here. Look at him. Look at the fear he's putting in people. So I think that the one thing she's thinking about through that entire speech, get rid of Rick. Let's exile this guy. He's not our sheriff. He can't be that. He can't be what I thought he could be. I mean, it's not going to work. So I just love it. I love when he says, or what? He pulls out the gun and says, you're going to kick me out? Oh, Andrew Lincoln. He was great in this episode. I love Rick Grimes, okay? Greatest character on the show. He has so many great moments. By far, that whole scene, one of the best moments of Season 5. it was so tense because you had no idea what was Rick going to do. Was he going to pull the trigger on someone? Was he just going to go off? The whole time he's saying this, and you just can't help but nod and just like, you're damn right, Rick, at every single word he is saying. But everyone is going to look at him as the bad guy now, and I can't wait to see how things are going to unfold in the season finale. They think he's a crazy guy, waving a gun around, blood running down his face, and then to end him from making a mistake, which he could have easily made a mistake, Michonne comes in and knocks him out. Okay, we get this low angle, we just see Rick's head, and he's like going on with his speech. Michonne comes in, knocks him out, and it like pushes out, or it pulls out, and we see Michonne holding the sword, and she's like upset that she had to do it, but she's like at the same time she's got this stern face on. Rick, it had to be done, man. You were gonna do something you were probably gonna regret. So I mean, that was the episode. I don't know if it was better than last week's, but it was pretty damn tense. There were some storylines that didn't work so much for me, like this whole thing with Sasha, I don't know, and the whole thing with Carl, I don't know, but the Daryl and Aaron thing is getting pretty interesting. I really want to see where that's going to go, and of course the whole Rick and Pete thing was tense and exciting, as how Rick's conversation with Deanna and everything. I love the first 10 minutes of this episode. They didn't use dialogue, they just used sound, and it was so exciting. And then when Glenn and Nicholas start speaking and they intercut them talking, I just love that moment. And the final scene, one of the best moments of season 5 by far. I mean, I just loved it. It's just Rick is all alone in this one space. Everyone has surrounded him. They're like in a circle, and they're just watching him, and he's all by himself here. He's trying to like sway everybody to listen to him so they'll survive longer, and they're just like, no, we're not going to move into Rick. And the only one who comes in and bursts this moment up is Michonne, when she hits him over the head and knocks him out. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this is going to go, guys. The finale, I have really, really high hopes for tonight's finale. I really think it should be as good as it should be. To give a rating for this episode real quick, Try was great. I don't know if it was as good as Spend, where Noah died and all that, because that had a lot of jaw-dropping moments. Looking back, at first I was like, yeah, it's better. But looking back, I'm not sure if it is. In the end, I'm still going to go high with this episode. I'm going to go 9. I'm going to go 9 out of 10 for this episode, or an A-. It had a lot of really, really solid moments that really drew me in, and a lot of really, really shocking moments as well. Kind of like Noah's death episode, but not as many as that episode. But I love the Rick moment in the end. I love it. I've watched the scene a billion times on YouTube now. It's so fucking awesome. Anyway, guys, so yeah, those are my thoughts on the episode. Yeah, well directed. The editing. There's one continuity error in this Rick speech scene, but that was a tough scene to edit, I guess. I mean, I don't know, because I've watched it so many times. I've noticed it. Glenn's in one shot, and then another shot he's not, and it's basically the same shot. And we're like, where the hell's Glenn? Anyway, that was it. So yeah, guys, what did you think of this episode? And what are your predictions for tonight's finale? I know the finale airs in... It's 12. Alright, so it airs in about 9 hours. Yeah, leave me your last minute predictions. Who do you think's gonna get whacked tonight? I think Sasha is gonna be one of the ones who's gonna get it tonight. I think Pete's not gonna survive. Carol or Rick are gonna take him out, and at this point, might be Carol, because Rick's in trouble now. Rick's like, I don't know, like nobody trusts him. They're not gonna let him get close to Pete. Carol may be the one to do it, and I honestly would be okay with that, because she never killed Ed. The Walkers did. So having Carol kill Pete is like kind of like Carol saving Jesse, and also saving a part of herself, or like what she was, like the scared frail woman that she used to be. So I wouldn't mind seeing Carol kill Pete. And then what's going to happen to Deanna? What's the thing going on with the W? A lot of people are saying it's a group in the comics known as the Wolves, but I don't know anything about them, so I'm really excited to see where they're going to go with that. And is Morgan going to come back tonight? I seriously believe, here's my prediction, Daryl and Aaron are going to find Morgan on their recruiter mission. It said the plot synopsis for tonight's episode says they're going to run into problems on the mission. I think they're going to run into problems. I think Morgan's going to come by, save him. And the cool thing is Daryl and Aaron do not know who Morgan is. They never met him, obviously. Rick's the only one, and Michonne and Carl, the only ones who have met Morgan. So I really can't wait to see. And will Morgan kill Aaron or Daryl, like unknowingly so? I mean, I don't know. I can't wait to see, but I have a strong feeling Morgan's coming back tonight, because he was teased in 2 episodes in the first half, in the premiere and the mid-season finale. They had post-credit scenes with him. I think he's going to come in tonight. I really do. So yeah, that's it, guys. Those are my thoughts. And what's going to happen with Rick tonight? What do you guys think? I think he's going to take charge. They may start to kill off some of the Alexandria group members who can't handle it. And Rick may try to take charge just so he can get his group, keep them alive. But is everyone going to agree with Rick? Is Glenn horrified by Rick now? Is Carl horrified by Rick? Michonne, after seeing him act like that in that speech he gave, see how crazy he looked. Rick has a tendency to do that, flip between normal and human and crazy. I don't know. It's really exciting. I can't wait to see what's going to happen tonight. Thanks for watching my late review, guys. I will see you tonight when I review the finale. Bye.